Hey, today we are going to talk the difference in between HTV vinyl versus regular craft vinyl, also known as permanent or removable vinyl. Now, can you do every project with the exact same type? No. You have to have the specific type for your project. Big thing that we're going to do with HTV for most people is use this to make t-shirts, print things, iron things on fabric. So t-shirts, canvas bags, sneakers. Some people do that. They decorate their sneakers. Book bags, totes, canvases, anything that is fabric and base, you're going to use this HTV. Now, what does HTV stand for? It stands for heat transfer vinyl, meaning you have to iron this on. Do you need a special iron to do so? Not necessarily. If you're just starting out, a regular iron will work. Once you get into it a little bit, you're going to realize that you need something that has a larger surface and that can give an even press. Now, I started with a regular iron. It worked fine until I wanted to upgrade, and then I got a Cricut Easy Press, and that worked fine too. I used that for a couple of years, and then I treated myself and I got an automatic heat press, and the brand that I got was HTV Ron, and I really have loved that type thus far because it doesn't take a lot of energy on my part. So later on in life you can get an automatic heat press, but for starters, if you're just starting out, you want to use HTV, you can use an iron on that, okay? So that's number one. This is what it's for, fabric type items. Now, some people also use this on wood. You can totally do that as well. And I've actually used this on paper. Yes, paper. You can iron it on paper, but you have to be very careful with your settings for the heat so you don't burn your paper up. Nobody wants that, right? So main use for this is to use on fabric type crafts. Regular craft vinyl, this is one I ordered offline. This is called Tech Wrap Craft. This is by far my favorite brand of permanent, removable, all those names that you hear it called, regular craft vinyl, adhesive vinyl, that's another name for it. This is my favorite brand. The sad part, though, is that this isn't sold in stores here in my area anyway. I'm in Florida. It's not sold here, so I have to order this online. But it is so worth it. They have amazing colors. It's the best vinyl I've ever used for cups and things, and I promise you it does not come off, and I do not use any kind of overlay. I don't seal it. I don't do anything. I put this on a cup, and I put it in the dishwasher, okay, because I'm not hand washing nothing. And the vinyl stays on it. So I love this brand, but I don't make a lot of cups anymore, okay? So I still have some of this left over. I have to go to the store a lot and get regular vinyl, permanent vinyl, and I end up using either Sizer, okay? Sizer, Easy Press Vinyl, permanent vinyl, which is the same brand as this, so Sizer vinyl, or I'll get Oracle, because Oracle comes at my local craft store. It comes out in sheets. So you can buy a sheet, a 12 by 12 sheet of Oracle vinyl. And on the back it says Oracle Intermediate Cal 651. Okay. So this is removable, not heat press vinyl. Okay. So this is regular standard craft vinyl that you would use for cups, ornaments, labeling things in your pantry, using this on paper crafts. I used to use this on my shadow boxes a lot. I made a ton of shadow boxes. I used this on the cardstock that was inside the shadow box. I also used it on the glass that was covering the shadow box itself. So this is nice adhesive vinyl. You will have to check to see if the vinyl is permanent or removable. Now, when I made cups, I always used permanent. I did not use removable because I didn't want to sell something that was going to end up rolling off. For ornaments, because they're not getting wet, I would use whatever was on sale. If removable was on sale, that's what I got. If that's what they had, it works because we're not washing our ornaments. But if I'm doing cups, or if I've made decals for cars before with their social media handle, I'll make sure that I'm using permanent because it goes on the window of their car. And I don't want the rain or the car wash to kind of wash that off. So this vinyl, this permanent adhesive or removable adhesive vinyl, is going to be the vinyl that you're using for non-fabric projects. This is not going to stick to fabric. Now, what if you have this opened, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what is what. Let me show you how you can tell, okay? I have this. Now, this is heat transfer vinyl, okay? It's already been opened because I have a project to make. But when you put them together, you can't really tell the difference, right? They're both shiny, they're both black, okay? They don't necessarily feel the same though, and I'm gonna tell you why. When you flip them over, okay, I want you to look at the backs here. This has a grid line on it. It's got a paper backing. When you cut this and you weed it out, you're gonna still have that paper backing there, okay? This does not have that same backing. This, when you cut this, you're actually weeding this part off of this plastic backing. This is the shiny side. This is kind of the dull side. They both look shiny to me, but this is the less shiny side. The shiny side is the part that you're going to put on your mat when you go to cut, okay? Because what you're essentially doing is you're going to peel away this image and leave just the plastic behind, okay? So I'm going to show you what that looks like really quick. I'm going to pick a side that just has a little bit of wording so you can see what that looks like, okay? So I'm going to cut this really quick because this is actually, somebody ordered some birthday shirts. So I'm going to show you an example, but I don't want to tear up my stuff, right? Somebody paid for this. I don't want to make it twice. So I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to cut out my image. Now I've already cut this on my Cricut. And now I'm just cutting this out so that I can weed this a little bit better, okay? I don't like to weed projects all as one giant piece. In case something messes up, I like to have a little bit more control with my weeding. So I like to cut out around the section that I'm going to weed. Now, this is my heat transfer vinyl, okay? You can kind of see that it's dull. It's shiny, but not as shiny as that. That's super shiny. So I'm going to cut it from this side, okay? I'm going to weed from this side. I have a couple options when it comes to weeding. We talked about tools a couple weeks ago. I have two tools. I have this. It's called a pen. This is a teeny tiny, it almost looks like a needle sticking out of there to use to weed your vinyl. And then I have this hook, this Cricut made hook here. Now, because this is a larger image, I'm going to use this weeding tool, okay? So the way that I'm going to weed this, I'm going to grab a corner, and then I'm going to start pulling back. I always start with my corner, okay? Because sometimes I have a hard time seeing what the design is. You guys, I got some old eyeballs, and sometimes I don't see things correctly. So I always start with the corner. That way I can pull off the excess, and then it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, now I know what I'm working with. So I can take out this middle here, all these little pieces. Careful not to pull off the letters that I need, right? So be mindful of what you're pulling off, because HTV doesn't stick back how you want it to, okay? If you pull it off on accident, it's going to get stretched, it's going to get manipulated, it's not going to look good. So now when we flip this over, you see we've taken out the excess and we're left with our image. This is what's going to go on the shirt, okay? We're going to iron over this plastic piece. This is called a carrier sheet. Sicer Easy Weed comes with a carrier sheet built in. I hear that some brands don't. I'm not dealing with those. I'm dealing with the ones that are easy for me. It comes with a carrier sheet. So I would put this on my shirt, and then I would iron. Then I would peel off the carrier sheet. I would be left with the image on my shirt. And then I would take a Teflon sheet and put it on top. And then I would iron one more time again, just to kind of get that seal. I want this to be embedded in those fibers so that it doesn't peel up after a few washes. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Let me show you what premium vinyl looks like when you go to weed it out. Okay, so this is your heat transfer. Let me show you premium. So this is an example of premium vinyl. Okay, so I cut the image out. Obviously not on this color. This is a different color. I cut the image out and I peeled up just like I did with this. But instead of being left with a clear backing, I'm left with this paper backing. This is the backing that was on the back of my permanent or regular vinyl. I don't know which one this one is. I think this is permanent. But you're only going to have the paper backing with the grid lines on the back of the adhesive. So I pulled off all the excess. I was left with this image. And then to get this on what you want it on, let's say you want this on a cup, or you want this on paper, or you want this on some plastic devices, you're labeling things in your pantry, you're labeling your kid's pencil box, whatever that is. To get this onto that item, you're going to put transfer tape on top of it, okay? And we're going to talk transfer tape another video, but you would use this to pick this up to place it somewhere else, okay? So the big takeaways with these two types of vinyl, okay, big takeaways. HTV is going to be for fabric-based items for the majority. Again, some people use this on wood, some people use this on paper. We'll get there, but for right now, start with this for fabric items, okay? This is going to be for non-fabric. This is going to be for your cups, your glass, your plastic, your paper products, your labeling your bins in your pantry, all of those things, you're going to use this. How do you know the difference once the package is opened? You're going to look at the backing, okay? So this one here looks very different from this one, okay? This one has the grid lines and it has the paper backing. This is going to be your premium adhesive vinyl. This does not have that. It's got the backing that looks pretty much like the front. This is going to be your heat transfer vinyl. You're going to pull it off. You're going to iron with this sheet on here. This one, you're going to pull it off and you're going to use transfer tape to get it to where you want it to go. Okay, so they look the same, but they are very different. You find the brands that work for you. When I started, of course, I started with Cricut brand vinyl because I have a Cricut machine. But I learned that different vinyl works a little differently, and I just prefer different types. So I like Caesar or Sizer, however you say it. I like Oracle for my permanent vinyl, my premium vinyl. I also like Tech Wrap for my adhesive vinyl. And I will still buy Cricut vinyl if I need it for things. I just don't use it on all projects. So I don't use Cricut vinyl for cups anymore just because it didn't stick very well for me. It works just fine on the heat transfer vinyl. Works okay. It's not a problem. I just prefer this better. It weeds easier. It stays on longer. I like the way it looks when it's ironed. So this is just my preference after years of trial and error. Okay, so HTV versus permanent. I hope that helped you. If you have more questions, just leave me a comment below and hopefully I can help you figure it out so that you're not so overwhelmed and you don't waste your money on the wrong thing depending on your project. All right, thanks.